everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Brilliant Faces with Dr. Saadia Asghar Khan. I'm Dr. Saadia, and today's brilliant guest is Tamgha-e-Imtiaz recipient Lieutenant Colonel retired Dr. Uzma Rahman Kallue, who is joining us from Islamabad, Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
क्या हाल है आपका उज़मा?
I'm good, Saadia. I hope you're doing well.
Very well, thank you. Dr. Uzma has been awarded the Tamgha-e-Imtiaz in recognition of the excellence of services provided to Pakistan and Pakistanis. She is a renowned gynecologist with over 27 years of experience, and she has served 27 years as a gynecologist as well as 27 years as an army officer. And apart from her practice, she has also served as faculty in various medical colleges, such as War Medical College and Army Medical College. Dr. Uzma hails from a military family. In fact, it's a very well-known military family. She is the daughter of Lieutenant Colonel Ata Rahman Kallue, and she is married to Colonel Arif Nawaz, and I'm proud to say that she is also my cousin. So with this very brief introduction, let's begin. So रमजान मुबारक और कैसा था आपका रोजा?
रोजा बहुत अच्छा गुजरा. It was very pleasant, very nice, and it was a weekend, so it went very well.
Lovely.
Alhamdulillah.
अच्छा, so अब आपकी इतनी accomplishments हैं और आपकी इतनी service है to the country कि I don't know where to begin. So let's begin from the beginning, which is जब आप छोटी थीं और आप grow up कर रही थीं. I remember कि आप लोग मुल्तान में रहते थे. वहाँ से शुरू करें फिर?
I was brought up in an army family, an army background, of course. और मेरे वालिद साहब जो हैं वो सर्विसेज में होने की वजह से we were frequently posted to other cities as well. मेरे पेरेंट्स का सिर्फ एक ही फोकस ज़्यादा था, especially my mother and father both, of course. They had a focus on us studying a lot.
Right.
And in the right direction. Like they were focused on our studies all the time. And they made sure, my mom from the very beginning, and then my father took on the role in the higher classes, they made sure कि हम time पे पढ़ रहे हैं. But they also made sure कि at time पे हम खेल भी रहे हैं. The sports were a very important part of our upbringing as well. तो वो जो है वो उन्होंने एक balance रखा. Or we were four siblings, 3 sisters and 1 brother, who tragically died later on in life. And उसके बाद भी, because we were 3 sisters, so my parents were very focused कि all of you should study and achieve something in life. You should do something. And मेरा तो ये था कि my grandmother, she always wanted me to be a doctor. My father always wanted me to be a doctor. Okay. So I thought, well, what's wrong with becoming a doctor, right? And as I got into the 9th and metric part of the career, तो वहाँ पे schooling में I found that biology was my favorite subject, and I scored like 98% in matriculation exam. Wow. In biology, right? Yeah. So, which was sort of unheard of.
Unheard of, right?
Unheard, yeah, at that time. So it was way back, So after that, I think the path was already like made for me. GUC mein jana hai. Ke baad I did my FSC from Multan. We posted there, or Multan se phir I was 3rd in board, Multan board in girls.
Wow. You were always bright, right?
Luckily, I was good at studies. And lucky to sports and all, बल्कि interesting बात ये है कि मैं metric में I was with the badminton team of the school. I was with the athletics team of the school, and I was with the table tennis team of the school. Or we went to NWFP, and we had the sports gala there. And I was declared the best player of badminton for that year for NWFP.
So you were not really just a bookworm, you were an all-rounder then, right?
Yeah, my parents made sure we did everything. So that, and then, the school was very interested in sending me to the nationals, but my father didn't agree. So he said, no, you focus on your studies and your board exams are coming up. So you just, right. So that would have been another,
another achievement. Right. Yeah.
another way to do that. So फिर उसके बाद फिर FSC के बाद I joined Nishta Medical College because my father had decided to settle down in Multan. और फिर वहाँ पे my brother also died there in Multan.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, my brother was like 2 steps down. We were 2 sisters and then the brother and then the youngest one. And I'm talking about him because, that really made me, that incident really made me who I am today. Because my brother, of course, being the single brother, well, he was very, he was the life of the house and very bright and active and intelligent. And he was the head boy of the school and, cricket team captain and brilliant. Yeah. And he was in metric in La Salle School in Multan. And then one fine day, he had a brain hemorrhage. Yeah. And he died of that. And but the problem had been that what we realized was that he had developed an aneurysm secondary as a complication to sulfur drugs, which he had been using over and over because of the doctor's prescriptions. And none of the doctors of that period, they realized that he was having drug reactions with sulfur drugs. And that was very painful for all of us, of course. It was a very traumatic period. And I saw my family, break down, my father break down, my mother break down. So that was a tough time. And that is why I became who I am today, perhaps. So after that, of course, I joined Nishta Medical College. And I was at Nishta for 5 years. Then I did my house job. Then married. My husband, he was in the army.
Okay.
So so I joined army about 2 or 3 years after that. Or but then no looking back, of course. In the army, I was initially posted. My first posting, actually, when I joined the army, I had done my part 1 in gynecology, because in the army at that time, it was essential for us to specialize in gynecology because they had a deficiency of gynecologists. So I did my part 1. Yeah. So it was a compulsion. We couldn't do anything else. I did my part 1 in gynae. I was posted to Landi Kotal. The first posting was at Landi Kotal, which is at the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan.
How was that experience?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that was a very good experience. Yeah, yeah, being in a small garrison with, it's a small community and everyone knows everyone. And it is always good, we have that army life, in the garrison.
Uzma, your husband was also posted there with you, or did you guys have to separate?
Yeah. No, we luckily didn't have to separate. He was posted with me. Yeah, we had a good time there. We were a young couple. I had a small daughter then. और वहाँ पे फिर I diagnosed the first case of leprosy in that area and reported that. And then I was, and I picked up a case of falciparum malaria, Subedar's son, and evacuated him also in time. He survived also because falciparum malaria, it attacks the brain as well. Can be very, has a high mortality rate as well. So we had teams, coming from the tertiary care hospitals to visit that area for leprosy as well as for falciparum malaria as well. But it was a good tenure there. And then I came into training to the bigger hospitals here in Rawalpindi, and there I did my training. And that was a good time as well. Or for all the young doctors, I would wish, and I would really like to tell them that this is the most important part of your life where you really need to work. You are young, you have the energy, you should be dedicated because if you want to achieve anything in life, you have to be completely dedicated, right? And our profession requires dedication. if you are not dedicated to become a doctor or a good doctor, then this is not the field for you, because it's going to take a lot of your energy. It is going to take a lot of time out of your life. You are like totally committed to the patients, right? So yeah, it takes a toll on your family life as well. But you know, you have to create that balance. You have to give that time, particularly children. In my case, my husband, as well as the house and children, of course, and the family.
How did you manage to balance?
Well, initially, what I did was, because where I was serving in the army, you have an entitled population, which means that all the servicemen families, they come to the gynecologist, right? And we cannot refuse a treatment to any of them. Then again, we have private practice patients as well. Out that in the evenings. So I avoided the private practice part.
That's how
Yeah.
you
So
managed.
I sacrificed that for my family, for my children, to give them more time, to spend time with them. And in that way, I think I was able to probably give the entitled patients more time and energy. Like all my energy, it was all directed to them. So I think I found it more satisfying, and perhaps nothing on my conscience as well, right? Like I tried to do everything right. Right? So
Uzma, I really liked one thing that, we were talking earlier and you were telling me uh, when your brother passed away, how that affected you in your attitude towards your practice. As in, I felt when I was talking to you that, you were expressing a lot of empathy for your patients and, your dedication to save lives, as many lives as you could. And oftentimes, like many doctors don't have that kind of empathy, and they have a disassociation, which maybe prevents them from giving their 100%.
So, that was a very traumatic experience at a very young age for me. And again, repeating myself, I saw my parents break down totally, right? They became different people. I saw my sisters, my siblings break down. And we were like in an area, I felt like I had no support whatsoever, right? We were all in our own pain zone, I think. Yeah. So when I became a doctor, in those days, I promised myself that if I become a doctor, life is so precious. I will try not to let anyone go. You know. And this is what I've been trying to do all my life. My own, at times, my fellow doctors, they felt this compulsion in me to do more than whatever even was physically possible for me. But I had this compulsion to do, never to give up on a patient. And, but that paid, that when you don't give up, this is one lesson that I've learned in my entire life. Allah Pak helps you out. The higher power, he helps out. When you're calling out to him and you are trying your best, the help comes. He's never failed. He's never failed to help out. And that has been, that is why this Tamgha-e-Imtiaz is probably not entirely to my credit, because he's the one who saved all those people. There were times, when the other doctors, they had given up on the patients. Like there was this one incident where I had been on leave and I'd just come back when I got a call from the hospital. Doctor said, we know that you are on leave, but there's a patient, young lady who's dying, because the senior surgeon on the station and the gynecologist who was there in my place, uh, uh, they had both given up because she had bled a lot, and they had given up on the patient, and they had said that there was imminent death involved, and the family had been counseled, and things like that. So the anesthetist, he called me, the senior anesthetist, because he knew he knew me, right? So he said, Doctor, if you can do anything for the patient, to come. So she's barely alive. There's no pulse, there's no blood pressure. So I rushed. And so it was like overnight. I got the call at around 11 midnight, and then I was with the patient for like 3.5 hours or so. And Alhamdulillah, the patient survived, right?
Wow.
And she was fine. Yeah.
Lovely.
So, and this is just one patient, right? It has been like so many other cases,
Right.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. And, I have never gone back to tell the patient, it is so satisfying that you've been able to do it. And initially, I wanted, probably being a human being, I always wanted to be recognized, someone to pat my back. Yeah. My
Absolutely.
pet pat my back, whenever I did anything right. So I always wanted that pat on my back, probably. But then I realized over the years that that pat is not really required. Uh, this is something between me and Allah Pak, So, asking a human for rewarding these things, no human can reward you for your services. And that is what a doctor should be, not giving up on your patients. There was another case where, again, the doctors had given up. They just called to tell me I was on call, and they said, okay, there's a serious case, and everyone has seen the patient, and she's going. And I was like, how come she's going? Kiji, all her tests and everything are suggesting that there's imminent death, and we just wanted to let you know. And I just rushed, but no way, you are not going to give up. So I rushed, and even the husband was not ready to. He had accepted that the wife was going, and I said, no way, you better sign here. I'm going to do something for your wife. I'm going to try. You cannot give up. So long as she's alive, I can give up. So I made him sign, and I went in, worked overnight, I think, with my team. We worked overnight on the patient, despite, so many people being skeptical about it. But Alhamdulillah, she survived. And yeah. So it happens, and it happened so many times, Alhamdulillah. So, that is so satisfying. And once I was like a little, not a little, quite depressed in my office, and the day had just started. And I was a little, at times you do get depressed, no?
Yeah.
So this patient, she walks in and she comes up to me and says, "Okay, doctor, do you remember me?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Okay, I was like, you saved me 1 year ago." I still didn't remember her. And she said, "Okay, Doctor Sahab, I was praying in the morning, and at Fajr, somehow I felt that I needed to visit you today." And, she brought me a coconut and some walnuts. And she said, "Okay, these are from my village. So I brought these for you." So, and I just wanted to come and thank you. Then I was like, fine, okay. So I have got my pat on the back, yeah. So, the doctors, they do get their pats wherever required. And
It's
much better.
it's just wonderful what you've been doing, and the kind of service, and you have such a wonderful demeanor, like hota hai na ek good bedside manner, wo bhi hai aapka. It's amazing, and mashallah, you've been able to save so many lives, and you have such a great record. और आपकी वो जो मैं लिस्ट देख रही थी, you have like a huge long list of all your accomplishments and all your expertise in all these different procedures, which is so impressive. How did you decide that you really did just want to be a gynecologist, and you didn't later decide to change your field or your specialization?
Yeah, actually, I was hooked to surgery. The day I took my first stitch during house job, I was hooked to surgery. Like I knew this was what I wanted to do. Right. So that was an immediate thing. Na?
Right.
So I wanted to be a surgeon. I knew I wanted to be in surgery, whichever field. I wouldn't have minded. As luck would have it, I decided to join the army. And army I joined not only because of my husband, but because of my father, and because of my family. Once I was in gynae. as I started to enjoy the field, and it was very rewarding as well, seeing the baby and the mother. And plus the fact that most of our patients are not so sickly. Like we are not like the patients in medicine So we do have occasional cases of rare cases of malignancy, or they are the painful ones. Otherwise, it is generally a field where we don't have very sickly patients. So that is also pretty rewarding when you see your patients going back home well. That is, I think, a very nice field. Yeah. Because, my own supervisor, she used to say that once you work hard during training, then only then can you enjoy later on. Only then can you enjoy your field, your work later on. Then you are more confident in what you are doing, right? So it is very important that the training years, one has to put in all those efforts, all that dedication, all that energy to learn and do more. So it was like in my training, I tried to do the maximum amount of work in at all the levels. The girls, my colleagues, they got tired after doing one case, and they would, think, all right, I've done one case, fine. So no, where they would do one, I would do 10. It was like that. So yeah, so I always believed that one has to work hard to be able to, acquire a skill. The more you work, the more you acquire the skill, and it is always like that. And this is, I think, something which I would like to pass on to the younger doctors. That this is the most important thing you can do. That learn, work, because it is a skill, and then apply your knowledge, because that is the time you learn to apply your knowledge. If you're not applying your knowledge while you are training, then you won't be able to do it ever in life. So that is the place where people make mistakes. So I guess the more you work, the better you are at it.
Right. You are so passionate about what you do, and so ये भी अल्लाह का एहसान blessing है, right? He made you choose a field which is, really making you not just contribute, but is also making you feel so fulfilled in life. And
Yeah,
you're happy with what you do. You are doing a private practice, is that right?
yeah, I am.
You're retired from the army and you're not teaching anymore? Is that
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not exactly teaching anyone right now. We do have, weekly sessions here, teaching sessions, learning sessions in this hospital as well, where I'm working.
Okay.
And we have good academic activities here as well. So I'm not totally out, and I am examiner of fellowship as well as membership exams, the College of Physicians and Surgeons, Pakistan. And so I'm not totally out of academics yet. As far as, teaching at a medical college is concerned, I'm not really teaching there.
And what hospital are you associated with now?
I'm associated with Medixi, Medical Field Hospital. And basically, it is there in Islamabad, but now they've got another hospital here in Bahria Enclave as well. So it's a good setup. Yeah, it's a good, well-organized system.
You said you joined the army after you got married.
Yeah, I did. I did. I joined army after I got married, and it was not only because my husband was in the army, but because of my father. I had wanted to join the army to, honor him as well, because he was quite passionate about the service. He had been a pilot, an excellent pilot, and he had been in the army aviation. Then he was with the artillery as well. He was a very good officer. Promotions and all, I believe they are a part of your uh, how Allah Pak has planned life for you. Whether you go to the top or not does not really matter in life. What you achieve, and if you are doing what you are placed to do, and you do that to the best of your ability, I think that is more of an achievement rather than a rank or something else.
Absolutely.
So I think that gives you that sense of fulfillment. You don't have those regrets. You don't have those, uh, being human. Of course, occasionally, yes, you do feel that you probably. But again, if you don't expect that pat from the humans, then it becomes quite bearable, I guess, um, because the pat is coming from the right direction. So it's okay. So I wanted to join to honor my father. My parents were very proud of me for my me being there in the army because of course, my brother had died. So I carried on with my father's name. I didn't change my name after I got married, and people knew me, and even know me now as Kallu, Uzma Kallue. So carrying on my father's name, his legacy, I hope. So I hope I keep on making them proud.
They must be
That
so
is,
proud.
uh,
आपकी family में it's your father who's in the military, right? And then you hail from the Kallu clan, who are very well known because it's a military family, right? I mean, my
yeah,
nani was a Kallu, right? पूरे clan के लोगों से inspire हुई. I know that, I mean, Shams Mamu is a huge figure in all of our lives. And I remember that, we grew up with two sets of grandparents, not from my father's side, but from my mother's side, right?
yeah,
So it was
yeah,
my Nana and my Nani. So
yeah,
then it was my Bade Nana and Bade Nani. I never thought that, there was any difference. They were like the elders of the family. So उस
yeah. They
sense
were.
में, है ना?
Bade
Right?
Dada, yeah, the
That's
Bade
what you
Dada
call.
statues, yeah, Shams
हाँ,
statues, father, na.
है ना? हाँ.
Actually, I think very few people know that General Shamsur Rahman Kallue, Kallue's father was the first MS of the Pakistan Army, Brigadier Kallue. Uh, so, matlab, he was a very honorable person, very
Yes.
upright person, and he always loved us so much. And yeah, and you're absolutely right. It was always two sets of
है ना?
grandparents and not one.
Right.
And of course, there was Colonel Kallu,
Hmm.
uh, another sibling of the senior Kallues.
Hmm.
So yeah, my own grandfather was a landlord, and he had another brother who was Colonel Kallu, uh, and he
Chote
was
Nana,
in
right? He would be my
yeah,
Chote Nana.
yeah, and he was
Ghulam
like in
Dastgir,
Lahore.
right?
Ghulam, yeah,
And
yeah,
Badi Nani would be your Badi Dadi, right?
yeah, yeah.
Badi Nani aati thi, like, she used to spend a lot of time at our place also. No? She used to come and stay with us, and Shams Mama used to come every time he was in Lahore and sit and talk with us. And I remember all his conversations. And आपकी अपनी
Yeah.
memories होंगी उनके साथ इतनी, है ना?
He was a very charismatic person.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was very good with kids. Yeah, he had his style.
He got along very well with my grandfather. He was very close to him, ना? So उसमें फिर वो एक बहुत मजे का एक वो एटमोस्फियर क्रिएट होता था where you could talk about intellectual things. उस जमाने में जब मैं छोटी थी and I was growing up तो मेरे सर पे से गुजर जाती थी, right? कि इतनी बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे हैं ये लोग, शमसों बैठे हैं, नाना बाबा बैठे हैं. But when I grew up a little bit, I was like, what an amazing experience to have. एक मैं आपको जल्दी से बताती हूँ चीज. I met some army officer and I was just having a friendly conversation with him. उसमें मैंने mention कर दिया कि my mother side of the family is all in the military. And so he asked me, he said, are you related to Shamsur Rahman Kallue? And I said, yeah. The person stood up and he saluted. I mean, I was just amazed. I was like, wow.
Well, he was well respected, of course. Great person, a great
Hmm.
man, a great general. He was very close to my father. Abu Jan was, when he was at Lawrence College, he often was staying with Shams Chachu, Bade Dada Abu ke paas, na. He would often stay there because if he had short leaves, he would come to their house for the weekends. And they were quite close. Abu Jan was quite to Bade Dada, and he was quite close to Badi Dadi, and also, of course, to Shams Chachu. And,
So
yeah.
inspiration उधर से भी फिर आई है, right? It's everybody actually, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that your great grandfather and my great grandfather, जो मेरी नानी के अब्बा थे, वो भी तो मिलिट्री में ही थे ना, उनके अब्बा भी थे, right?
उनके military में. So it's been generations and generations since I think the First World War. मतलब, it goes as far back as that. They've been in the army for generations.
Yeah.
So always been military men.
And are you the first woman?
I was the first, yeah.
Hannah, in the
first.
family? So proud of you. I think you are very, very talented and you're very brilliant. And mostly when you try something, you have a tendency to excel. And, let's just acknowledge that.
It was actually my father behind me most of the time. Yeah, he would teach me things, and he was always. I remember even knitting. My father taught me knitting as well. Would you believe that?
Really?
Yeah, he taught me how to knit.
He can knit? Seriously?
Yeah,
Wow.
Making me learn so many things, and I loved, learning things from him. And of course, actually, my mom was busy with all the siblings, and my father, focused a lot of attention on me. I was very lucky in that. I was the eldest, so I got a lot of attention that way. So my father, focused on me. He probably didn't want me to feel left out, and he was probably paying more attention to me. I was happy either way. Yeah.
Yeah, and look how it paid off too, right? Because like when fathers pay attention to their daughters and then encourage them, then we have somebody like Dr. Uzma.
that's that's very kind of you.
But it's true, I mean, fathers play such a huge role in the lives of their daughters, especially in Pakistan, because I mean, someone needs to encourage us to do things and make it possible, and fathers can do that. Let's talk a little bit about your mother as well, because she also, first of all, you resemble her so much. She's so pretty, mashallah. Tell us a little bit about her.
My mother is an excellent housewife. I wish I could be like her. I know I'm not. I cannot be. Whenever she would visit my house, whenever I was posted, and I knew that she was coming, and it was, I don't know, as soon as I heard that she was coming, I was on my toes and then running around the house, trying to put everything in place and in order, cleaning up the house. That kind of place, nothing, everything very well organized. She is a role model, truly. And she's such a good cook. She's such a good mother. She's always been there for us. And mothers, I like that. I think praying for you, being there for you, loving you unconditionally. So, mothers are mothers. You can't beat mothers.
Very true. Very true.
As you said that she's a very pretty person, she maintained herself so well, and she still maintains so well. Whenever she would come to pick me up from the college or from the school, all my friends, they would rush to the car to meet her, because your mother is so pretty and she's so groomed and she looks so nice. And I was, very proud and ashamed of myself at the same time.
Oh, why? Why ashamed of yourself?
I wish could be like her a little.
You are a lot like her. And look at your achievements. अब तो नहीं ये बात बनती ना. And your kids must be so proud of you.
I hope they are. My daughter is a dentist. She's got 2 young daughters.
Okay.
My lovely granddaughters, and they are living in United States as well. My son-in-law, he's working with a car company, and he's a specialist on microchips. He's done his PhD from Germany, and it's a rare specialty, and he's very good at what he does. And He's quite brilliant as well. So he was offered this as a special post to go to United States. And my son, mashallah, he's an engineer, followed in the footsteps of the father, and he's mashallah done his masters in robotics. He went 100% scholarship to South Korea, and he did his masters. Then he decided to come back, and he's now working as a software developer. Recently, the happy news was of his nikah to a lovely daughter-in-law,
MashaAllah,
Alicia.
बहुत मुबारक हो.
Yeah, thank you very much. She's also becoming a dentist, and she's quite brilliant, mashallah.
And your grandchildren?
Yeah, I've got two granddaughters, mashallah. One is Manahil, and the other one is Miral.
Oh.
M&M, my M&M. They're absolutely adorable. I love them so much. And I don't know how you can love anyone more than your own children. But believe me, you love your grandchildren far more than your own. Somehow, you just absolutely love them. Well, the day she was born, since that day, the first one, it's like the way I was hooked to surgery. I was hooked to them. Yeah, yeah, I miss them so much. I miss them so much. They are so far away. Seems like another world. You want to have those grandkids around you all the time.
Yeah.
Visit on all their birthdays. You miss out on the birthdays, the Eid days.
Let's have a few memories from all the different significant military men from the Kallu family that you remember. ठीक है, आपकी कोई memory एक. So let's start with आपके बड़े दादा?
Brigadier Fazl Rahman Kallue. He was like Bade Dada for us always. And I always remember seeing him sitting in a relaxing chair, in a rocking chair. And he would always be so calm and so quiet. And I never, ever saw him angry in my entire life. Till the time he was alive. He was never angry with anyone. Children would be playing all around him. We would play all around him, and, make all the kind of noises and everything. But he never, ever, scolded anyone. He was always quiet and smiling at us. And that is a very fond memory of him, And he loved when I used to sit and read. I loved reading. So after a while of playing, I would sit down and read. And I used to sit close to him and read, and he would always appreciate that.
And he was very spiritual. Am I correct?
Yeah, he was. He was very spiritual. He would always guide my mom regarding all the, how to give out alms to the poor, and when to give out alms, how much to give. He would guide her. He would guide her regarding how to budget the household, expenses. And, he guided my mom a lot. Baki, of course, for my father, he was a very important, precious person.
Of course.
Always loved him a lot, yeah. So very precious to him. So he would always come and sit with him and have long talks with him. So it was always a fun and fond trip for us, always. We are there,
But they can, I always feel that like children, especially if they're like, innocent, wo jo age hoti hai certain, they can tell who's a good person and who's not so good, right? There's no black and white, but so with the Bade Nana, I always felt that he was a very good person when I was a child.
He was an extremely good person. He was a blessed person. I think he was kind and loving to everyone, and a very positive person. No negativity from him. Absolutely no negative feeling. Nothing negative from him. It was always positive.
Right.
That's a good thing from him.
Lieutenant General Shamsur Rahman Kallue, whose last appointment was DG ISI. Am I correct?
Yes.
And who unfortunately passed away too soon. It was very sudden too, right?
Yeah, it was. He had been young. Don't think he was very old or something.
No,
Shamsatu was a very professional soldier, and he used to come, have a few words with us, kind words with us. क्या खेल रहे हो, क्या कर रहे हो, कौन सी class में हो, and he would have those questions for us. अब क्या कर रहे हो, अच्छा ये क्या है, वो क्या है. He would come talk to us, and he was like he was a very tall person, an imposing figure, and we felt. I always felt a little in awe of him, always, So I was like quite quiet in front of him, but of course he was very friendly. But I was in awe of him always.
I think everyone was, right? Because he was just that kind of a person, right?
He had that personality where you are in awe of a person.
My memories of him are like, he was always there. I mean, so I don't remember a single Eid when he wouldn't call us. I don't remember a single Eid when he didn't send us Eid. When my grandfather, when Nana Ba passed away, he was there. He took care of everybody. He was just like so amazing as a human being. And I think his parents should be credited, right?
Yeah.
He had amazing
Yeah.
parents.
Parents were wonderful. Ghulam Dastgir Kallue. He was also a very kind person, a very learned person. And actually, whenever we visited Lahore, we went to his place. He was like very kind to us. But he would sit with, I remember he would sit with my father, and they would, keep on talking to each other. They had so much to talk about after having met, after quite a while. And those few hours that we would spend with them, it was always amazing. छोटे नाना की मैं आपके साथ एक story share करती हूँ. When we were growing up, he used to call me Fakirni. For the longest time when I was a child, I had no idea why, he would call me Fakirni and Badi Nani would call me Fakirni. My own Nana would call me Fakirni. मैं कहा मैं Fakirni नहीं हूँ. Why do you? Because I was little, right? I thought it was so funny. So I would make a prediction, and it always happened कि by chance होगा जो भी उनके beliefs थे. Now it's come to my father. He's also a very upright, honest, very brilliant soldier, and I think whatever I've learned in life has been from him. Most of the things I picked up from him, because he was always like, he's a very giving person. I've never seen him take from anyone. He would always tell me कि बेटा अपना ज़र्फ दूसरों से बुलंद रखो. Don't stoop down. And second thing he would say कि बेटा हाथ अपना देने वालों में रखो, दुआ किया करो कि हाथ ऐसे रखें, don't ask. तो अल्लाह पाक से दुआ करें कि ऐसा वक्त ना आए, but always try to give out whatever you can. Whether he had more, whether he had less, he would always help out people. To this day, he gives out help in whichever way he can. He's always been like that. He's a very good human being, good soul. Never seen him hurt anyone. I don't think he's ever hurt any other person in his entire life. He has never hurt anyone. He doesn't, not with his tongue, not physically, otherwise. He's a good person, good soul. They are the really good points that I like about him. And he's very confident. And mashallah, he knows who he is and what he is. And that is what gives you confidence. Because he has never done anything wrong in his life, morally or otherwise, monetarily. So I think that is what gives a person confidence. That if you've just obeyed by the rules and done everything right by you, I think it goes a long way to giving you that confidence. So those are really good points about my father. I used to be doing my house job, and I remember in medicine we used to get off at 12 midnight. And I would tell him, okay, Abu Jan, I'll be free by 9 p.m. And he would be there in the hospital at 9 p.m. and he would keep on standing, waiting for me till I was free at midnight. And, he never said a word. Never said a word. "Hey, beta, why do you call me earlier? I've had to stand. Why? No, never, ever,
Oh,
never.
but
That is the big quality about these, at least these Kallues that I've seen, that they are very positive and they are very forward looking, very positive in life. Whatever comes, they'll just take it with a smile. Yeah, matlab whenever tough times come, they just bear bravely. They're really brave, and that is why they're military men.
And now they have a military woman in there as well. I'm sure you have so many more memories, and
Yeah.
we can't possibly share all of them right now, but you and I will talk more.
Many of our memories, coincide as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me, and it was so lovely talking with you, and it's a pleasure having had you as a guest. Thank you, Uzma.
Thank you for having me as a guest, Saadia, and it has the pleasure has been all mine, truly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.